The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Welcome back to the latest. Family, we are witnessing a historic moment of diplomatic warfare. On May 11, 2026, the Africa Forward Summit kicked off in Nairobi. It was meant to be Emmanuel Macron's grand rebranding of France-African relationship. A 23 billion euro investment offensive aimed at high-tech, energy, and digital sovereignty. But as the cameras pan across the room, the biggest story wasn't who was there. It was who was missing. The seats for the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso remain empty. Macron didn't just notice. He felt the sting of it. Standing at the State House in Nairobi, Macron openly criticized the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso for separating themselves from the rest of the world. He called their refusal to attend a mistake. But family, are all in all the savior, the protector, the unifier, Captain Ibrahim Traore didn't just stay home. He sent a message that has completely rewritten the rules of African diplomacy. He reportedly told the world, quote, "I am not afraid of the summit. I am not afraid of the platform. But I will only come to Nairobi when Macron has left." End of quote. This is a tactical masterstroke. It isn't a boycott of Kenya. It is a total rejection of the French chaperone. Traore is signaling that Africa can speak to Africa, but we will no longer do it under the watchful eye of a former colonial master. Please, if you haven't subscribe, hit the notification and select all. To understand why Traore stayed home, we have to look at what happened just yesterday in Kigali at the 2026 African CEO Forum. President Paul Kagame delivered a blunter diagnosis that every one of us need to hear. He said that for centuries, external powers have treated Africa as a source of commodity rather than an equal actor. Kagame exposed the blatant hypocrisy we see in Nairobi. He described the global powers that walk into Africa with a whip in their hands. They come lecturing us on human rights, democracy, equality, and transparency with one arm, while the other arm is busy taking away everything that our people owe. This is exactly what we saw in Nairobi. Macron stood on that stage and called himself a true Pan-Africanist. Think about that. The leader of the nation that still controls the CFA franc and maintains military bases across the continent is calling himself a true Pan-Africanist.
Are you concerned that some of the countries in the Western Africa region are not part of this conversation? Those countries in the Sahel region. Just that question. And to my President William Ruto, how is this going to affect our partnership with other bilateral friends? And of course, how does it fit into your plan to transform Kenya into the first world country? Because you've mentioned it. Thank you.
I want just to clarify the fact that Western African countries will be present. President of Senegal, President of Ivory Coast, President of Gabon, President of DRC, and many others will be here. It's hard to say that Western Africa will not be present in this room. You have three countries, and I do regret that, which decided because of the coup and the behaviors of the military people in charge to put them aside from the rest of the club, by the way, aside of ECOWAS as well and others. It doesn't mean that West Africa is not part of this meeting. The biggest leaders of Western Africa will be here. And beyond that, we've been very vigilant to have civil society, even from Sahel states, being present. Because we can disagree with some of these governments, quote to quote, but we never disagree with people. We love these people. In Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Niger. So all these people are involved in this conference and in this summit. And we will have a lot of intellectuals, academics, artists, entrepreneurs coming from these countries being present.
Emmanuel Macron said that he was very disappointed that Ibrahim Traore did not take time to come to his summit in Nairobi. Now, Ibrahim Traore responded and said that he has no problems with coming to Nairobi. He would just wait for Emmanuel Macron to leave Nairobi and then he would attend. See, these are the kind of leaders, independent, brave leaders that Africa needs, not all these leaders who just jump whenever the colonizers say jump. Now, Emmanuel Macron and of course the Sahel Bros are leading Africans' revolution because there is a revolution that is coming. Because Africans have realized who they are and what they deserve, because Africans deserve more than they get. And you know what? Africa is a very young continent. We have populations that people in the West only dream of, and this is a huge benefit because in the West, children aren't being born anymore, despite all that.
Partnership? He is talking about a partnership where France still holds the keys. By staying home, Traore is refusing to be the student in Macron's classroom. Let's talk about the human rights lecture. In Nairobi, Macron expressed disappointment that the leaders in AES aren't democratic enough for his summit. But where is that same disappointment in Emmanuel Macron for the millions suffering in the Congo? Where is the disappointment for the extraction of minerals that fuels Western tech while leaving our children in poverty? Kagame hit the nail on the head in Kigali. The West uses human rights as the weapon of leverage. If you bow to their interests, they ignore your flaws. If you stand for your sovereignty, your people, like Traore, Guaita, and Chiani are all in us are doing, they call you a putschist and slap you with sanctions. Kagame's message was clear. We must be able to say no. He argued that while sanctions are designed to hurt, the cost of saying yes to the wrong thing is far greater for Africa's future. Traore is living that no right now. He is showing the world that Burkina Faso will rather endure the pressure, endurance of independence than the comfort of a colonial partnership. Endurance is what we need as Africans. Now, why is the West so panicked? Because they have lost the monopoly of the truth. For 60 good years, the French media told the story of the Sahel. They told us who the heroes were and who the villains were. But that narrative conditioning is dead. As Kagame said in Kigali, social media is now a democratizing force. We don't need a translator from Paris to tell us what Traore said. We can hear this voice directly on YouTube and TikTok. When Macron scolds the youth in Nairobi for lack of respect, we see the footage ourselves. We see the condescension. Social media has allowed the African awakening to go viral. It has allowed the youth in Jamaica and in the Caribbean to stand in solidarity with the youth in Ouagadougou. The West can no longer hide the truth behind a polished news desk. We see the whip in real time and we are talking back. The Nairobi ultimatum is a signal of collective African defense. Traore's refusal to sit with Macron isn't just about pride. It's about establishing a new protocol for the continent. Dignity over dollars. 23 billion euro is a lot of money, but Traore is saying our dignity is not for sale. Africa must deal with the world as a bloc. The AES is the first step toward a larger movement of leaders who refuse to be convoked to summit like children. Traore is proving that his legitimacy comes from the streets of the Sahel, not the saloons of Paris. The message to Macron is simple. If you want to talk to the new Africa, you must first of all put down the whip. You must stop the lectures. And you must realize that we are immunized to your shocks. Family, we are living in the most important era for our continent. Since the 1960s, the whip is being broken. Leaders like Traore and Kagame are showing us that the path to the true sovereignty is through the power of no. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Burkina Faso.